Hey everybody, it's Dave Neal, stand-up comic and host of the Rush Hour podcast with a special Sunday episode for you regarding Blake Lively versus Justin Baldoni. The fallout from this weekend's premiere of Blake Lively's newest film and some of the commentary being said online is actually a little juicier than I first thought. I did not plan on making a video on the Lord's Day, Sunday, but the Lord giveth tea and we shall drink said tea. I think that's in the Ten Commandments, right? When the Lord giveth thy tea, thou must consume thy tea. So here we are, folks. What can you do? And by the way, if you're like, hey, that's anti-Christian, no, it's not. Lord made me in his image, and he wanted me to be a content creator covering Baldoni v. Lively. And we are here with a lot to get into. I'm going to share several questions you guys have asked, and I'm going to provide answers to it. Now, something I've done in the past that I've yet to break open here in the Baldoni versus Lively universe is take questions from you guys in the form of phone calls. Now, we've always had the voicemail line set up, and I haven't used it yet for this case. Would you guys be interested in doing a phone call live stream? Would you like to hear from your fellow listeners out there? If so, do me a solid. Put your money where your mouth is and hit the subscribe button. If you guys get me up to 130,000 subscribers by 7 p.m. East Coast time, I'll go live with you and we'll have a phone call. You guys can call in from all over the world, really. I've got a digital line on the Google phone line. So again, if you get me up to 130,000 subscribers, we'll do that, all right? That'll be our Sunday gift. If not, that's okay, but right now is your chance to vote with your follow. All right, so let's get into it. Several topics to get into, and first I wanted to cover Els Rich here, really doing great work as far as finding Paul Feig's wife entering the public discourse with regard to Blake being the victim. Everyone's allowed their opinion. Does she know something we don't? Let's have a listen to this reel.
Feig's wife, Lori Feig, has been flying under the radar on some bullshit for a while. She left this comment saying, Blake has already been paid. It's on Amazon. Boycotting the film will not hurt Blake. It's a great film and hundreds of people worked super hard to make it great. So enjoy it. Save your energy. Don't hate a film.
And by the way, I agree. You know what I mean? It's not going to hurt Blake if people watch the movie. All of the cast, crew, sound guys, who wrote the script, there's up and coming people in the industry that, whatever, right? It's not going to affect her. But you can do what you want. You can decide, hey, I don't want to watch it because I'm going to see Blake Lively and I have a sour taste in my mouth. You can do whatever the hell you want. And she, as the wife of the director, is also allowed to say, hey, come on, it's useless. Blake's not working on commission. She's already been paid.
Why is Lori Feig wearing this nightgown fighting in the comments? What the fuck is a Lori? Why do we need to hear from her? Then she goes on to keep fighting for her life in the comments. Love people that post lies and then are too cowardly to allow replies, all bots. Why don't you focus on what's important in the world? Wake up, get out of the basement. The basement, Lori? Really? Okay. And see what's happening to democracy. Or you're a woman-hating Trumpers.
Whoa.
What the fuck does that even mean?
And by the way, This is a good example where it just never looks good to fight with the comment section. I'm guilty of it. I do it. All the time. I'm guilty of that. And there's nothing more annoying than coming up with a good response to somebody, and then as you hit send, it goes, this person doesn't allow you to tag them. There's nothing more annoying than that. But if you're any PR person in the world, you're going to tell Lori, look, your husband's a famous director. I'm sure she's in the industry in one way or another. I don't know her. But it's just not good. Look, you're not going to win. The comment section is, you just got to let it be. You know what I mean? Hey, every once in a while, you got a good zinger, sure. But in this case, making it political is part of the sort of easy way to divide people, making something political or saying they're a woman hater because they have an issue with Blake. It's like, it doesn't always have to be misogyny. It doesn't always have to be political. In some cases it is, but in this case, it's like, people, they're allowed their valid criticisms.
Here's the kicker. Blake was the victim here. Get the facts. Justin's wife is probably horrified by her husband.
Yikes. So if you want to go hear the commentary from Ellsrich, I don't want to jack her whole TikTok. Go check it out. Give her support. She's doing a great job. But the comment section saying, if you don't believe Blake, you're a Trumper narrative. That's so annoying. And again, that's what we saw play out with that Business Insider article, or whichever article it was about Candace Owens. It's like, just because someone who is on the right and has the same opinion doesn't mean you both share all the values. That again, that trope of putting everyone into some duopoly. Do I have that right? Left versus right. It's like it's not always that way. The world's three-dimensional. We see the world in color. This isn't just black and white. So I'm going to share what our good pal over here, not actually Golden, has to say with regards to the order that they're seeking, which is to make it so that their friends' text messages can't be revealed. I'm going to share that in a second. But yeah, this is the type of thing you need to be aware of when you're doing critical evaluation of content you're receiving. Is someone trying to divide me? Are they trying to shame me? Are they trying to shame me and say, well, if you have this opinion, you must be with X, Y, and Z? Because when that's the case, you're winning. When they're trying to divide you and shame you and things like that, you're winning. Now, could there be a scenario where Paul Feig's wife believes Blake and hasn't read all of the information? Yeah, absolutely. It's just one of those things. You kind of read the room, and if you're outwardly defending someone when, say, Blake's closest allies aren't defending them, chances are you're on the losing side of the story. Now, it could be that Blake comes up with that smoking gun information that makes her the hero and she's, and we'll address that when it comes. But as it stands right now, for Lori Feig to be, criticizing people that are pro Justin and anti-Blake, I mean, it's a tough place to be in because even Blake's friends aren't going to bat for her. So let's get into this aspect of it. And again, I've got several other topics we're going to cover here. We're going to wrap it all together. A lot of things, a lot of loose ends going into this next week because we're still waiting to hear from the judge. But Legal Bites posted this on Twitter. The more I think about Blake Lively, Ryan Reynolds' argument for an attorney's eyes only designation, a protective order, the more offensive I actually find it. Remember, designated evidence under protective order as attorney eyes only doesn't just mean that the public can't see the evidence. It's that the opposing party can't see it to aid in their own litigation efforts. And again, the claim of why Blake wanted this is they believe that Justin Baldoni's side would leak information if it came out. That's why it's considered an extreme measure and needs to have a very serious justification for it. Usually when it's allowed, it's to prevent a competitor from getting access to a business opponent's trade secrets. That makes sense. Seeing these various PR professional entities make that argument is actually fairly reasonable. But Blake and Ryan claiming that an order designation should be allowed to prevent the Wayfair parties from being able to see evidence coming from high-profile celebrities is total BS. Remember, Lively is a defendant in this case, but the specific case number that everything has been consolidated under is the court case that she filed against Baldoni and the others. In other words, the messaging that Lively and Reynolds are giving is the following. We high-profile, and again, this is in quotes, but this is a summation. We high-profile celebrities will sue you and will allegedly forward our damaging lawsuit allegations to the New York Times to amplify our claims, and then we think you, the defendant whom we are suing, shouldn't even be allowed to access evidence that reveals information about us and our other high-profile celebrity friends. We have no other reason why you shouldn't be allowed to see this to defend against our claims other than the fact that we're high-profile celebrities and therefore are in our own class of people. Are you kidding me? What planet are they living on? Well, let's go and see what not actually Golden had to say in response to the question, do you think the reason why Blake and Ryan desperately want this order is that they have bigger things to hide than what has already been released to the public, or is it just to maintain the existing damage? My guess is it's because it'll be a feeding frenzy and it'll throw people like Taylor Swift further under the bus. That's my guess. Let's listen to what not actually Golden has to say.
That there's two things that they don't want out there. One is their personal financial information. I mean, they have claimed monetary damages. They have claimed loss in both her businesses and in her ability to get acting work. And in order to prove that, they're going to have to turn over their financial records, all kinds of financial records, both personally and the companies. And I think they don't want that information in public, which I kind of get. The other thing I think is happening is that as they are talking to witnesses, third-party witnesses, and, people who can potentially help their case, you call someone and go, hey, you were a member of the crew on this film, would you be willing to give a statement to my attorneys or turn over some emails with a friendly subpoena? And the person goes, well, yeah, I want to help, but I don't want my stuff all over Instagram. I don't want to be in the Hollywood Reporter. Can you make sure that it's kept confidential? And so I think for the Lively folks, they want to be able to assure people that if they come forward and help, that they'll be able to protect them. But I don't think they're going to be able to give them the protection that they want to.
And
now,
we'll probably know this by Monday. So again, go follow Not Actually Golden. She's one of the lawyers on TikTok doing really great work of breaking this down for us idiots who don't understand what these orders are all about. And it's a chance for all of us to learn, quite frankly. But yeah, I mean, if you remember in Blake's amended complaint, she said, we don't want to share the redacted screenshots because we don't want all the people to come after the victims here. And it's wild because we're not even we're not talking about sharing full screen grabs of what Taylor Swift said. They wouldn't even share redacted where you take out the name of who's saying it. They wouldn't share any evidence whatsoever. So now it's interesting that they're trying to prevent some of this from coming out. Again, there could be some just really bad stuff that's bad PR, Something as simple as Taylor Swift saying, F that guy, what a creep. And by the way, any friend would say that. If you told your friend, yeah, this guy was kissing me in weird ways during scenes that weren't supposed to. So imagine if you're saying that, your friend would be like, man, screw that guy, go, whatever. And that alone would be terrible PR for Taylor Swift. And honestly, if she's still friends with Blake, I'm not sure that she even is, it's gonna really hurt their friendship. So you could imagine if you're Blake in that case, you wouldn't want that coming out. With that said, if you're Blake and you actually have evidence, of course you want it to come out. And we haven't seen that evidence. We haven't seen that evidence of the real receipts. And I'll get to that more in a second when I read some of the questions that are online. I wanted to share some of these. Someone said, I think if Justin had not countersued, Blake would have settled. With the number of parties brought into the suit and the money on the line, I think that's why Blake and Ryan can't settle. Now she has no choice but to continue with this lie. Well, eventually someone's going to pull her aside and say, you got to end this. And again, if you're on Justin's side, you're not going to want to end it without a real apology, because if you're Steve Sarowitz, if you're Justin Baldoni, or if you're Heath, your whole career is on the line. You literally have nothing to lose. It's almost like you're playing a game and both sides would have to agree for it to a draw. But if you lose the game, you never get to play the game again. So why would they want to leave in a draw? No, they want to win. And they have the momentum. They're leading. Why would they end in a draw? And that's just not going to happen. Now, the way a settlement would happen is if Blake apologizes. And again, as we've shared before, she could give any number of excuses that I think would be... I think any excuse Blake wants to make that involves her owning up to misconstruing what she believed were Justin's advances. She could even say something like, you know what? Having reviewed all the dailies and looking back on a sober mind, I was wrong. I was flat out wrong. I didn't separate Justin the actor from Justin the director. To be quite honest, he did a damn good job and nothing he did was harassment. I painted the picture in that direction based on previous experiences, fear, and my own ability, whatever. You could come up with a really great apology that owns up to it all and says, and still gives Blake an out to say, I got it wrong. I understand now. Yeah, that I'm going to go away and I'm going to think a lot about this and I'm going to try to do better. And that could happen. I don't see that happening yet, but I think if anyone's been in a scenario where they have to make a tough decision, sometimes you're like, I'll never do that. And then you go, well, what if I did? What if I just apologized? What if I just did this and got it over with and then just went away and it'll die down? I'm telling you right now, the wind is taken out of the sails if that happens. If that happens, we only have about a week's worth of content left. If she just fesses up to it, a week's worth of content left. If she doesn't do that, we have a year's worth of content to get to, because it's going to keep on getting worse and worse. And the audience is unwilling to accept anything short of the truth from coming out. Someone said a wildly unpopular opinion. We like unpopular opinions. If in any controversy, ask yourself who is benefiting. Great. I love this conversation. Follow the money. I keep asking myself this because something has felt off since all this speculation started. The answer is everyone. Blake, Ryan, Justin, Wayfair, Sony, New York Times, the attorneys, the PR professionals, the media and influencers. Everyone is profiting. Everyone. Okay, I slightly disagree. I don't see how Justin is profiting off of this. Sure, it might have helped drive traffic to his movie, but he'll never make another movie again if he loses this. There is a side for everyone to take. There are a million Easter eggs. We as a society need to get better at identifying manufactured operations. Does the issue strike a deep societal chord? Are there conflicting reports and stories? Are the facts murky? Who benefits? Chaos is a ladder. Our attention is the currency. I could make a deep dive into this, but I fear that post would not get approved. And they were downvoted, which I think it's a good question. I think it's coming from a fair place. And maybe it's an unpopular opinion to throw money into it. We're going to be addressing this a lot moving forward, as like I think hit pieces are going to be written about content creators profiting off of this. Yes, I make $5 for every 1,000 views I get, whatever the case is. Some videos are more, some are less. There is a very standard algorithm to content creators being monetarily rewarded because you watch ads. But I mean, what are you going to do? Look at the news? This is where it doesn't make sense. If you write for an organization, let's just use Business Insider as an example, and you want to shame content creators for making money off of this. So you write an article about the content creators, but then your article is behind a paywall. Are you any better than I am? So it's not that I have any sort of moral high ground where it's like, no, we're entitled to it. No, it's like, yeah, everything, time is money. If someone takes the time to put something together, they get compensated for it accordingly to the amount of people that want to watch. If you don't want to be a part of that, you don't. And you put your money where your time is, right? Time is money. And so that's fair. And I think what would be unfair here is if someone was exploiting the topic and not offering productive, again, you're allowed to. You can just be pure gossip whatsoever. But I think if you try to get it right and talk about the nuances of celebrity culture and how the pendulum swings and what astroturfing is and provide some information, then I think we can actually all learn from this, try to do better. And I think the more important thing to learn about when Blake and Justin is all said and done is critical thinking skills. This is something we need to know for future political issues, when we watch a debate, when we watch a speech, when we analyze the headline of an article. It doesn't mean be super conspiratorial and never trust anything. It just means digest the information in a way where you can properly make educated decisions based on it. We use these cases as case studies to look at that further and go, wow, where did we get this wrong? And we're still in the thick of it. We're still going to learn information and then maybe in hindsight, change our opinion slightly with new information. And we're going to wonder, were our pitchforks too far in one direction versus the other? So yes, people benefit. Sony is neutral. New York Times benefited. The attorneys are definitely benefiting, but I would say Justin Baldoni's side and Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's side are not benefiting from this. This does not help any of them whatsoever. Next question. If you were Ryan Reynolds, while analyzing the timeline of events, especially with the addition of the ex-CIA PR and the criminal lawyer, one question emerged. If you were Ryan Reynolds and your wife experienced harassment on a movie set, how would you respond? Would you use this to gain control of the film, or would you report? I think both things could be true. In this case, I don't think they are, but I think both things could be true. I think you can use I think you could use what happened as leverage, but you would have to have the paper trail. A paper trail they don't really have. And I hate to even put my own family into this position, but that's what we do when we analyze these things. If my wife was mistreated at work, and there's been times where she's been treated a certain way, and I'm like, get on the phone and fire them, and I mean more verbally, like talk down to and things like that. And the truth is, I when I talked to my wife about that, because she works in fashion, or before the baby came along, she was a model for 10 years. And sometimes people would treat her like property. They would literally not treat her as a human being. And I would tell her, look, the best thing you can do to have more equity and more power in the decision process of working in entertainment is to continue to improve your stature and where you belong in the pecking order, because you can't necessarily change society. You can set whatever boundaries for yourself, but they just might fire you and replace you. So the best way to overcome that is to be undeniable. Now, that doesn't help you out in the minute when you're the victim here. If you're the victim of actual harassment, the first thing you need to do is document it. If you work in a corporation, HR isn't there to protect you. They're there to protect the company. You have to remember that. Companies are psychopathic. They are not there to protect you. They are there to protect the brand. That doesn't mean they won't protect you. They're just not there to protect you. Some people might disagree with this, but my point is, have the receipts and have the ownership of the proof. Therefore, you're in an undeniable place with that leverage. Not leverage because you want to end someone for no reason, but leverage because if they can fire you, they will. If they can make it go away, they will. But if you've got the Ring camera footage, or if you've got the audio or the DMs, then you hold a lot of leverage there. So if I was Ryan Reynolds, I would, first of all, acquire whatever proof possible. Proof alone, if you're Ryan Reynolds, would be the conversations you would be having day of. You would say, text your agent these issues, text and call Screen Actors Guild, whatever other representatives you have. Get all of that on paper. We have seen zilch as far as what Blake Lively has from the time period. Now you might say, well, sometimes you don't realize till hindsight that you were either harassed or that things crossed the line. I understand that, but you still have to operate within a window of believability. So if something happened in March of 2022 and you report it in April of 2022, I'm believing you. But if something happened in March of 22 and then 13 months later, you're trying to use that as, it's like, whoa, where is the relative complaint? Where's the relative evidence? So sadly, if all of this did happen to Blake and she just so happened not to tell anybody about it at the time, or there's no proof of it, what are we to do? Take somebody's word for it if their word destroys another person's livelihood and their whole business, really. I don't think you can operate under that scope. So when it comes to believing people, I always say, yes, believe them, verify their evidence, believe them in the meantime, but you can believe somebody and not destroy somebody else while you're trying to work all of that out. And I think that's where people got it wrong, is people believed Blake, destroyed Justin, then as the tides were turned, then they believed him, and it's like, okay, we have to just exist in this time period where we wait for it all to be figured out in the court of law. We can have our opinions, but in the meantime, to tie it all back to the director's wife, like, she's allowed her opinion, but the fact that she brought in Justin's wife, I think says a lot. And I don't think that's a good thing. I think it says a lot to say Justin's wife is probably horrified by her husband. Well, so far his wife is sticking by him. And I think that does say a lot. She's, posted about him and things like that. So the other interesting thing that Donna Bowling shared was, and again, I don't know, like, I guess, I think people need to be careful with crossing the line from like pulling other people into this mess. I'm not saying Donna did that. I'm not saying that at all. But there was a pre-approved sort of like line of fans at the Blake Lively event, and people are identifying some of them. And again, doxing, this is not doxing. Doxing is when you share someone's personal information, not when you out somebody. If you're out in the public event, someone can post, hey, I know who that person is. That's not, we get it all wrong with doxing. We say all the time, oh, I was doxed because you shared my identity. No, it's when you share someone's phone number or their home or something personal like that. So we overuse the word. It's one of those words we just overuse. One of my followers was able to identify this guy, and you won't believe what his job title is: National DV Hotline Employee. And again, they're not actually, it doesn't look like they're doxing them. They're just saying, hey, this is interesting that some of the approved people, could they be there for PR reasons? I don't even understand necessarily what this means, but what I think is interesting is by the public figuring these things out, they might be working their way closer to a storyline than what we actually know right now. So this woman is a CEO of the domestic violence line. Great PR, Blake. Again, it's interesting. What are they doing there? Why do they know each other? Maybe it's a coincidence. Maybe there's more to the story. But as far as any evidence that Blake called a hotline, an agent, a SAG rep, that's all not there. And that's not on us to find if it doesn't exist. So maybe it'll come out. Maybe they go, oh my gosh, I can't believe it. I forgot in the iCloud I had this. And then they'll get a forensic person to verify the metadata that it's the right date and time. And then we go, oh, all right, that changes things. Blake claimed this on XY. But we don't have that till we have a coordinated effort to put all those hearsay claims together. And that's where the critical thinking comes in, where you go, hey, don't blame me. Don't blame me that your case has a bunch of holes in it. That's not my fault. All right, folks, put your money where your mouth is. Do you want it or not? 130,000 subscribers. We'll do a live chat where you guys can call in and we can bounce ideas and theories back and forth. Let me know. Hit this. And by the way, someone sent me a message and said, I was subscribed. I'm no longer subscribed. What happened? I'm not saying this is a conspiracy that happens online, but very often people will accidentally be unsubscribed from the channel. Glitch, call it what you want. Maybe it's, ex-CIA guy hacking into your account. Who knows what it is, but double check that you're subscribed, and it helps the channel grow. So do nice comments, and we'll have a lot to get to this week. I will be ready with breaking news when we get a response from the judge about the protective order motion, which will decide whether or not Taylor Swift's text deposition, all of that information becomes discovery. It'll be very interesting to say the least. So get a good sleep tonight. Get your Sunday chores done and clear that schedule because we're going to have a wild week. Thanks for all the attention you've placed on the channel. We appreciate you, and more to come.